Here's my new to me 96 Seadoo GTX. I just picked up, cleaned it up, it looks beautiful. I believe it has 120 hours on it. Did a compression test, even though it does run. And it had 150 on this cylinder, 130 on that one. So I said, you know what, let's go ahead and take this apart and take a look. Glad I did. The cylinders look pretty rough to me. Like water got in them at some point with the rust. But yeah, so there's that. And here's the cylinder head. The domes look pretty good. This is the rear one. This is the front. So it was also like when they would turn on from this side, so the port side, it would gush water out from this area, the seal. So I think the seal was bad. I don't see any cracking in the cylinders or anything, but it did run and actually sounded pretty decent. But this is going to be kind of like an off-season project. Get this sucker back to good running order. So the disassembly begins. Okay, so here's the good cylinder. I'm just turning it over with a little bit of two-stroke oil in the cylinders. Take a look. Doesn't look awful, but I don't know, maybe it is awful. I'm not used to seeing this in a dirt bike, so it really shouldn't be looking like this in a jet ski. So even though this was a good cylinder, I'll turn it over again and get to this piston to bottom dead center. And here's the rear cylinder. About the same kind of story. I am curious why this one has 20 psi lower compression. I'm real tempted, honestly, to spend 45-50 bucks, buy a top-end gasket kit, put it on and send it first, just for the heck of it. At least test it out on the water and then be like, okay, yeah, it's time for a true top-end rebuild. These cylinders don't look nice, but I will tell you, they are smooth. There's nothing I can feel with a fingernail, so that's a good sign. Well, boys and girls, I was wrong. See that right there? That's a big old crack in that cylinder and this cylinder. Well, that sucks, but thankfully replacement cylinders, top end kits are really not that expensive, so I guess I'll be on the hunt. Well, I decided to have some fun here on a Tuesday after work. I'm going to try and repair these cracks here, which are not pretty, and I fully expect to have to replace these cylinders, but I'm just doing this for the heck of it. Cleaning them up. And I'm going to use some Weld, but the marine weld. It's a nasty crack. The problem is, I bet this would work really well, actually, if I could drill a hole in the bottom of that crack to stop it from cracking, but I don't know if I can really do that with the space I have, and honestly, I'm trying to avoid just pulling the pipe and pulling a bunch more stuff, which is probably not that difficult, but yeah. So I cleaned it up. I'm going to clean it up some more. Make sure it's very clean with some brake cleaner or acetone or something, and then put some JB Weld marine weld on it and let it sit for a whole day and go from there. Well, that didn't take too long. I cleaned it really thoroughly with a steel, what do you call it? Pipe cleaner things. Yeah, cleaned it with that. Got in there really good, cleaned it up, and then I hit it with some brake cleaner and made sure everything was super clean and dry. Then I mixed the marine weld up and put it on with a glove on and my finger. Seemed to be the best bet. I think I'm going to do 2 coats on the inside, leave this for a whole day to dry, and do it again. But it did seem to cover pretty well. And then I also did the back side. I can't even see this without the camera, so I have no idea how this looks. Let's see if I can get a better angle. Yeah, it's probably too bright, but either way, this is just kind of a let's try it fix. Ideally, if you were even to try this to do it properly, you would want to pull the cylinders, drill the hole in the bottom so the crack would stop spreading, but I'm just feeling lazy, and if this holds, awesome, I'll run it. If not, well, I'm only out, 10-15 bucks and some time, and I'll get some either reconditioned cylinders or some good used OEM cylinders. So we will see. We'll come back to this in a day or so. Okay, it's the next day and nothing left to do now but put the head back on. Everything's very dry, very hard. It looks really well. I'm not going to do a second coat because I feel like I put plenty on, and I really packed the cracks on both sides. So we're going to stick this head back on, torque it down, and let's see how it does. We've got the cylinder head on, torqued down to 17 foot-pounds, always in a crisscross manner, starting from the center and working your way out. And I did that honestly 2 or 3 times just to check, and I'm glad I did because some of them did move, in fact. So everything's torqued down, spark plugs are tight. I think the water pressure, gracious temperature sensor plugged in. Everything's good to go. Battery's hooked up. We're going to do a dry start first, just for a couple seconds, and then we'll hook up some water. Gas is on. Let's turn the choke on, which doesn't seem to stay open. It's kind of odd. It's good news. Awesome. Okay. Now I'll hook up the water. Okay, gonna turn this on quickly and then run to turn the hose on. No leaking yet, that's great. Definitely sounds a little rough. It'll need a carb clean. I gotta pull that thing apart and rebuild it. But this is great. This is what I want to see. No water leaking. Well, I could not be happier with that. Honestly, super thrilled. It does not leak water, which is awesome. So that's a massive plus. It runs and it idles, although it doesn't sound, perfect. There is every bit of chance that even the crankshaft is not great. Maybe it ingested some water at some point in its life. I don't think so, but it was sounding a little funny. Maybe it's the rad valves. I don't know. I got a lot of things to do on this, like just pull the carbs, rebuild those, and I'll pull the rad valves and clean those up at least. So, but gosh, I'm thrilled. That's awesome. If that fixes the ski, I can live with a little lower compression on one of the cylinders for a while. So, sweet.